Evan Hale stood quietly near the wall of the alien ship's main corridor, his armored suit humming softly as it adjusted to the strange atmosphere. The metal floor beneath his boots vibrated with the deep pulse of the vessel's engines. Around him, tall alien figures moved with smooth, confident steps. Their skin tones ranged from pale blue to deep violet, their eyes sharp and curious. Many of them stared at Evan, some openly, some with clear discomfort. He was used to being stared at. Humans were still rare in this part of the galaxy. Commander Scifi stopped in front of him. She was taller than Evan by half a head, her posture straight, her presence commanding. The markings on her armor showed her rank clearly. Her eyes narrowed as they focused on Evan's suit. Thick, reinforced, sealed from head to toe. "You," she said sharply, her voice echoing slightly in the corridor. "Will you just stare? Take it off." The words hit Evan harder than she probably meant. Several nearby crew members paused to watch. Evan did not move. Inside the helmet, he took a slow breath. The suit was not just armor. It regulated pressure, filtered air, balanced gravity differences, and protected him from microbes his body could not fight. Without it, he would not last long on this ship. Before Evan could answer, the floor shook violently. A loud alarm screamed through the corridor. Red lights flashed along the walls. The ship lurched to one side, and several crew members stumbled. Evan widened his stance and stayed upright, his suit stabilizers activating instantly. "Report!" Scifi snapped, turning away from Evan as she tapped a device on her wrist. "Power fluctuation across multiple systems," an officer shouted from further down the corridor. "Main reactor output dropping." Another violent shake ran through the ship. This time, the lights went out completely. Emergency lighting flickered on, casting everything in dim red shadows. Evan's suit visor switched to low-light mode automatically. He could see clearly. Around him, the alien crew struggled, their eyes not built for sudden darkness. Scifi regained her balance and looked back at Evan, irritation flashing across her face. "Human, move."
"You're blocking the corridor." Evan stepped aside immediately, his movements controlled and precise.
He had been trained for chaos like this. As the crew rushed past, he stayed alert, scanning for hazards. Moments later, a heavy explosion echoed from deep within the ship. The vibration was stronger than before. Evan felt it through the suit's frame. "That was not a simple power loss," Evan said calmly. Scifi paused, surprised.
"You understand our systems. Enough to know that something just went very wrong," Evan replied.
She studied him for a brief second, then made a decision. "You. Come with me." Evan nodded and followed as she moved quickly down the corridor toward the engineering sector. The air grew warmer with every step. Steam hissed from damaged panels. The smell was sharp and metallic. As they ran, Scifi spoke without looking back. "Your armor. Why do you wear it constantly?" "You are not in a combat zone," Evan answered honestly. "Because this ship is not built for humans." "That is an excuse," she said. "Our environment controls are calibrated for all registered species." "Humans aren't fully registered," Evan replied. "Not out here." She said nothing after that. They reached a sealed blast door. Sparks flew from its edges. A dead crew member lay nearby, his body still. Scifi slowed, her jaw tightening for just a moment before she turned back to duty. "The reactor controls are beyond this door," she said. "We need to stabilize the core before it breaches." She tried her wrist device again. Nothing happened. "No response," she muttered.
"The system is locked." Evan stepped closer to the control panel. "May I?"
She hesitated. Trust did not come easily to her kind, especially not toward humans. But the ship shook again, and that decided it. "Do it," she said. Evan connected a cable from his suit to the panel, his visor filled with data streams, most of them unfamiliar. Still, patterns were patterns. Energy flow was energy flow, no matter the species that built the machine. "The problem isn't just internal," Evan said after a moment. "Something hit us?" An attack? Scifi asked sharply. External force. Small, precise, not random. As if responding to his words, another explosion rocked the ship. Closer this time. "Boarding pods!" a voice shouted over the comms. "Unknown hostiles breaching Deck 5. Scifi's eyes hardened. So it is an attack. Evan pulled his hand back from the panel. Your reactor can't handle both internal damage and weapons fire. You need to isolate this section manually. That requires direct access, she said. The radiation.
I know, Evan said.
He reached for the seals of his suit. Scifi's eyes widened slightly. What are you doing? I can reach the manual override faster than your crew, Evan said, but I need finer movement. The gloves limit me. You will die, she said flatly. Maybe, Evan replied. But if I don't do this, everyone on the ship dies. The corridor shook again. Dust fell from the ceiling. Scifi looked at him, really looked at him this time, not as a strange human in heavy armor, but as a calm figure standing in the middle of chaos. Earlier, she said slowly, I told you to take it off. Evan paused. This time, I'm choosing to. He disengaged the outer layer of the suit's gloves. The seals hissed as the protective field weakened. Almost instantly, pain shot through his hands as the atmosphere assaulted exposed human skin. He clenched his jaw but did not cry out. Scifi watched in shock. Her species could not survive even seconds in conditions like these without protection. You're in pain, she said. Yes, Evan answered simply. Then stop! I can't! With shaking hands, Evan reached into the open panel and pulled a physical lever hidden behind damaged plating. Alarms changed tone. The ship's vibration eased slightly. Reactor stabilizing, a voice announced over the comms. Evan slumped back against the wall, breathing heavily. His exposed hands trembled violently. Scifi stepped forward and activated a portable shield, placing it around his arms to protect them. Her movements were careful, almost gentle. You did not hesitate, she said quietly. Even when ordered before, you did not remove your armor. But now it mattered, Evan said, his voice strained. Earlier, it would have been pointless. She was silent for a long moment. Over the comms, reports continued. Boarding forces were spreading. Security teams were struggling to contain them. Scifi straightened and looked down at Evan. Can you still fight? Evan flexed his fingers slowly inside the partial shield. Pain burned through him, but his eyes were steady. Yes, he said. She offered him her hand, not as a command, but as respect. Then stand with us, human, she said, not as a guest, as crew. Evan took her hand and stood. Far away, unknown enemies moved through the ship, unaware that they had just awakened something the galaxy had never fully understood. And this was only the beginning. Evan followed Commander Scifi through the damaged corridor as alarms continued to echo through the ship. Emergency lights cast long red shadows on the walls, making every movement feel tense and urgent. The air was still unstable, and even with his suit partially sealed again, Evan could feel the strain on his body. Pain pulsed through his hands, but he ignored it. Around them, alien crew members hurried to defensive positions. Some carried weapons, others dragged injured comrades toward medical bays. When they saw Evan walking beside Scifi, many of them stared in confusion. Humans were usually kept away from direct danger. This one was being taken toward it. The boarding forces are spreading faster than expected, Scifi said as they moved. They know this ship's layout. That means inside information, Evan replied. Or a species that thinks like engineers. She glanced at him. You speak as if you faced this before. I have, Evan said. Different enemy, same chaos. They reached a junction where the corridor split into 3 paths. A security officer waited there, his armor scorched. Commander, the officer said quickly. Deck 5 is lost. The hostiles are pushing toward the central control spine. Scifi clenched her jaw. If they take the spine, they control life support, navigation, everything. Evan studied the holographic map projected from the officer's wrist device. His eyes followed the blinking red markers showing enemy movement. They're moving in groups of 3, Evan said. Fast, but not careful. You understand their tactics already? The officer asked, surprised.
Evan nodded. They're confident.
That's a weakness. Scifi made a decision. Security teams will fall back and form a defensive line here.
I will take a small unit through maintenance tunnels to flank them.
The officer hesitated. Commander, those tunnels are unstable.
I know, she said.
Evan stepped forward. I should go with you. Several aliens turned toward him immediately. No, one of them said sharply. You are not trained for close-quarters alien combat. Evan did not raise his voice.
You're right, but I am trained for surviving impossible environments, improvising under pressure, and fighting enemies that think they're stronger than me.
Scifi studied his face. She could still see exhaustion there, and pain, but also something else.
Determination. He stays, she said.
They moved quickly into a narrow maintenance hatch. The space was tight even for Evan, and for the taller aliens it was uncomfortable. Pipes rattled overhead, and heat leaked from damaged systems. As they advanced, distant weapon fire echoed through the metal walls. Tell me something, human, Scifi said quietly as they walked. Why did you join interstellar service?
Your species is still new to this alliance. Evan thought for a moment.
Because humans learned something early, he said. If we don't step forward when things get dangerous, someone else pays the price. She absorbed his words in silence. Suddenly, the tunnel shook violently. A section of ceiling collapsed behind them, cutting off retreat. One of the soldiers cursed. We're trapped. No, Evan said calmly. We're committed. They reached an access grate overlooking a wide cargo bay below. Through the slats, Evan could see the enemy clearly for the first time. They were tall, armored creatures with long limbs and glowing eyes. Their movements were fast and aggressive. Alien weapons hummed with deadly energy as they cut down automated defenses with ease.
They're not here to destroy the ship, Evan whispered.
They want control, Scifi nodded. Slavers, then, or worse. Evan scanned the bay quickly. His suit's sensors highlighted weak points in the structure. Support beams damaged by earlier explosions. Exposed power conduits. Unstable cargo containers. We can't beat them head-on, he said. But we don't have to. He pointed. Those containers are magnetically sealed. If we overload the locks, they'll fall, Scifi finished. Crushing everything beneath. Exactly. She gave a sharp hand signal. Her soldiers moved silently, preparing charges and devices. Evan worked beside them, connecting his suit to alien tech with practiced ease. For a brief moment, everything was still. Then Scifi raised her hand. Evan triggered the overload. The bay erupted into chaos. Massive cargo containers broke free and crashed down, shaking the entire ship. Enemy forces scattered, some crushed instantly, others thrown into disarray. Before the hostiles could recover, Scifi and her soldiers dropped into the bay, weapons blazing. Evan landed hard, rolling to absorb the impact. His suit absorbed most of the force, but pain still flared through his body. He pushed it aside and moved. An enemy charged him, towering and powerful. Evan did not try to overpower it. Instead, he slid under its strike and drove a tool straight into a joint in its armor. Sparks flew. The creature collapsed with a roar. Nearby, Scifi fought with precise, deadly movements. She watched Evan briefly as he adapted to every threat, using the environment, never wasting motion. This is not how humans fight, she thought. This is how they survive. The battle was brutal, but short. Without coordination, the enemy forces were overwhelmed. Silence fell over the bay, broken only by the crackle of damaged systems. Evan leaned against a crate, breathing heavily. His suit warned him of rising fatigue and injury. Scifi approached him slowly. "You should not be alive," she said. Evan gave a weak smile. "I hear that a lot." Her expression softened, just slightly. "You fight without arrogance, without fear." "I fight with fear," Evan corrected. "I just don't let it decide for me." A transmission came through Scifi's comm. "Commander, remaining hostiles are retreating. They are abandoning the ship." Relief spread through the surviving crew, but Evan's smile faded. "They're leaving too easily."
Scifi turned sharply.
Explain. They tested us, Evan said. Learned our responses.
"They didn't bring enough force to conquer, only enough to study." Her eyes widened slightly. "You think they will return?" "Yes," Evan said. "And next time, they won't underestimate humans." Scifi looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "Then we will not underestimate them either," she said. "And we will not face them alone." She placed her hand on Evan's armored shoulder, a gesture of respect among her people. "Rest while you can, human," she said. "Something tells me the galaxy's about to learn your name." Evan looked around at the damaged ship, the wounded crew, and the stars beyond the cracked viewport. "This wasn't a victory," he said quietly. "It was a warning." And deep in the dark between stars, something listened. The ship drifted in silence for a short time after the attack. Emergency systems worked steadily, sealing damaged sections and restoring weak power lines. The red alert lights slowly dimmed to a softer glow. Crew members moved with tired steps, cleaning debris and helping the injured. The danger was not gone, but it had stepped back into the shadows. Evan sat in the medical bay, his helmet removed, his suit opened around his upper body. His hands were wrapped in transparent healing bands that glowed faintly. They reduced pain and repaired damaged tissue slowly. He watched the lights above him, breathing evenly. An alien medic finished scanning his arms and shook his head in disbelief. "Your nervous system should have shut down from shock," the medic said, "yet you remained functional." Evan shrugged slightly. "Humans are stubborn." The medic made a strange clicking sound that Evan had learned meant confusion mixed with respect. That is, an understatement. Across the room, Commander Scifi stood quietly, observing. She had removed her helmet as well. Small scratches marked her armor, but she seemed otherwise unharmed. Her eyes were focused on Evan, studying him not as a soldier now, but as a mystery. When the medic stepped away, Scifi approached. "You should be resting," she said. "I am," Evan replied. "This is rest for me." She considered that, then spoke again. "The attackers have fully withdrawn. Long-range scans show no nearby ships." "For now," Evan said. "Yes," she agreed. "For now." She hesitated, then said, "I have read your species' preliminary records. They are incomplete." Evan smiled faintly. "That's one word for it. They describe humans as adaptable, cooperative, emotionally driven," she continued. "But they do not explain what I saw today." "And what did you see?" Evan asked. "I saw a being who accepts pain as a tool," she said slowly. "Who does not seek dominance, yet changes the battlefield simply by refusing to fall." Evan was quiet for a moment. "On Earth," he said, "we learned a long time ago that the world doesn't care if you're tired or hurting. You either keep going or you don't." Scifi absorbed this in silence. A sudden alert chimed softly through the bay, not an alarm, something more controlled. Scifi tapped her wrist device and frowned. "We are receiving a transmission, not a standard signal." "From the attackers?" Evan asked. "No," she said. "From the Alliance." Moments later, Evan was escorted, still in partial medical gear, to the command chamber. The large circular room was dim, its central holographic display flickering with star maps and damage reports. A tall alien official appeared in the hologram, her image sharp and formal.
Amande Sayalira, the official said.
Report. Sayalira stood straight. We were attacked by an unknown hostile force. Boarding action. They retreated after encountering resistance. The official's gaze shifted to Evan. And the human? He was critical to our survival, Sayalira said without hesitation. The official's eyes narrowed slightly. Human presence was not required on this mission. With respect, Sayalira replied. Human presence saved this ship. There was a pause. Explain, the official said. Sayalira described the events clearly, how Evan stabilized the reactor, how he fought alongside the crew, how he predicted the enemy's behavior. She did not exaggerate, but she did not downplay anything either. When she finished, silence filled the chamber. The attackers withdrew intentionally, the official finally said. We have received similar reports from other sectors. Short engagements, no claims, no follow-up. They are testing defenses, Evan said calmly. The official looked directly at him.
You speak as if you are certain. I am, Evan replied.
They didn't come to win. They came to learn.
And now they know we're not easy prey. That may make things worse, the official said.
Yes, Evan agreed, but it also means they'll prepare.
Which gives us time, if we use it.
The official studied him carefully.
Your species has little experience with interstellar war. Evan met her gaze without hesitation. That doesn't mean we have little experience with war. Another pause. The Alliance will convene, the official said. Until then, this ship is ordered to return to the nearest station. The transmission ended. The room felt heavier after that. They don't trust humans, Sayalira said quietly. They're afraid of what they don't understand, Evan replied. That's not new. Later, as the ship traveled through quiet space, Evan stood alone near an observation window. Stars stretched endlessly before him, cold and distant. Sayalira approached and stood beside him. When I first saw you, she said, I thought your armor was arrogance, a sign that you believed yourself superior. Evan shook his head. It's the opposite. It's humility.
It means I know I'm fragile.
Yet you fight gods, she said. Evan smiled slightly.
No, I fight problems.
She turned to him. If these enemies return, the Alliance may hesitate, debate, delay. They always do, Evan said. And humans? She asked. We prepare, he replied, quietly, thoroughly. She studied his face, searching for bravado, for pride. She found none. Then perhaps, she said slowly, the galaxy needs humans more than it realizes. Evan looked back at the stars. We don't want to rule the galaxy. What do you want then? She asked. To make it through tomorrow, Evan said, and help others do the same. The ship jumped to faster-than-light travel moments later, leaving behind the battlefield and carrying with it something far more dangerous than weapons or armor. It carried understanding. And somewhere in the dark, those who watched were already adjusting their plans. The station emerged from faster-than-light travel like a giant metal island floating in endless dark. Lights shimmered across its surface, and dozens of ships moved slowly around it like careful insects. To most of the crew, the sight brought relief, safety, order, distance from danger. To Evan, it felt like the calm before a storm. The ship docked with a low mechanical hum. As pressure equalized, medical teams and security units waited on the other side of the airlock. Word of the attack had already spread. Eyes turned toward Evan as he stepped onto the station, his suit fully sealed again, his posture steady despite the pain still burning beneath the surface. Commander Sayalira walked beside him. You are becoming a topic of discussion, she said quietly. I was hoping for a nap, Evan replied. She made a short sound that, by now, he recognized as amusement. They were escorted through wide corridors toward the Alliance briefing hall. The station was massive, built by many species over decades. The architecture shifted subtly from section to section. Curved walls, sharp angles, strange symbols etched into metal. Evan's suit translated most of it, but not all. Some things were never meant to be understood easily. Inside the hall, representatives from many worlds waited. Some sat, others stood. A few hovered or rested on platforms. Their eyes followed Evan as he entered. This time, no one told him to stay silent. The same official from the earlier transmission appeared in person, her presence commanding even without raised voice. "You were attacked by a force we cannot yet name," she began. "A force that appears, strikes, and withdraws." Murmurs spread through the chamber. "They are learning," Evan said aloud. Several heads turned sharply toward him. The official did not silence him.
"Explain. They didn't hit military strongholds."
"They hit mixed ships, diplomacy vessels, places where response would be slow and uncertain," Evan said. "They want to know how we react under confusion." "And you believe this was deliberate?" one representative asked. "Yes," Evan answered. "Because that's how you prepare to win later." Silence followed. Sci-Fi stepped forward. "The human is correct. Their retreat patterns were controlled, their losses acceptable. This was not desperation." Another representative shifted. "You speak with certainty for a species new to this level of conflict." Evan looked around the room. "We're new to space," he said calmly, "not to survival." Some found his words unsettling. Others found them reassuring. The official raised a hand. "The Alliance will strengthen patrols and gather intelligence. Until we know more, we avoid escalation." Evan felt something tighten in his chest. "With respect," he said, "that's exactly what they expect." A ripple of discomfort passed through the room. "Avoiding escalation has kept peace for centuries," someone replied sharply.
And it's also how you lose initiative, Evan said. You don't have to attack first.
"But you do have to prepare like the attack is inevitable." The official studied him. And how would humans prepare? Evan did not answer immediately. He thought of Earth, of cities rebuilt after wars, of people who kept moving forward no matter how many times they were knocked down. "We adapt," he said. "We train civilians. We harden infrastructure. We share information instead of hiding it. And we don't assume we're safe just because we want to be." The hall was quiet. After the session ended, no decision was made. Committees would form. Reports would be written. Time would pass. Too much time. Later, Evan stood in a quieter section of the station, watching cargo ships arrive and depart. Life went on as if nothing had changed. Sci-Fi joined him.
"They are not ready," she said. "No," Evan agreed.
"But they will be." "How can you be sure?" "Because fear spreads faster than denial," he said. "And this enemy knows how to create fear." A sudden tremor ran through the station, not violent, just enough to be noticed. Alarms did not sound, but Evan's suit reacted instantly. "That wasn't normal," he said. Sci-Fi activated her comm. "Report." Static answered. Then screams. The lights flickered. Once, twice, then went dark. Emergency power kicked in, casting everything in pale blue. Evan turned slowly. They followed us. A deep impact shook the station. Far away, something exploded. "This station wasn't meant to fight," Sci-Fi said grimly. "No," Evan replied. "It was meant to host." Weapons fire echoed through the corridor. People ran. Some tripped. Panic spread like fire. Sci-Fi drew her weapon. "We must reach the command center." Evan nodded. "They'll aim for communication first." As they moved, Evan noticed something different this time. The enemy was faster, more precise. They had adjusted. "They learned from us," he said. "That is not possible in such a short time," Sci-Fi replied. "They didn't learn everything," Evan said. "Just enough." They reached a junction where Alliance guards were already engaging hostiles. The enemies moved with frightening coordination, flanking and disabling without hesitation. Evan grabbed a fallen tool from the floor and tossed it into the air. It struck a light panel, shattering it. Darkness fell over one side of the corridor. "Fall back!" Evan shouted. "They track movement patterns." The guards hesitated, but then obeyed. In the confusion, the enemy line broke. Scifi stared at Evan. "How did you know?" "They're too clean," Evan said. "They rely on prediction." An explosion threw them both to the ground. Evan rolled to his feet instantly, helping Scifi up. Pain surged through his injured hands. His suit warned him again. He ignored it. They pushed forward, step by step, fighting not with strength, but with timing and awareness. Evan used doors, gravity shifts, broken lights, anything that disrupted expectation. This time, the enemy slowed. "They're hesitating," Scifi said. "They didn't plan for resistance everywhere," Evan replied. "Only key points. They reached the command center to find it half evacuated." Officers worked frantically to restore communications. "The attackers are everywhere," one shouted.
We can't hold! Evan stepped forward. You don't need to hold.
"You need to last." He interfaced his suit with the station's systems. "What are you doing?" someone demanded. "Teaching your station a human trick," Evan said. He rerouted non-essential power into defensive systems. Doors sealed unpredictably. Gravity fluctuated in short bursts. Lights pulsed irregularly. Chaos, but controlled chaos. The enemy faltered. They were strong, intelligent, dangerous, but they were not used to environments that fought back. Minutes passed, then more. Finally, retreat signals appeared on sensors.
"They're pulling out!" someone said in disbelief. Evan leaned heavily against a console, breathing hard.
Scifi placed a steadying hand on his shoulder. "You were right," she said quietly. "They followed, they adapted, and they failed. For now," Evan said. Medical teams rushed in. As they guided Evan away, word spread quickly through the station. The humans had been right. Not because they were stronger, but because they had already lived through the kind of future everyone else feared. And now, the galaxy could no longer pretend it wasn't coming. The station was alive with movement the next day. Engineers worked on repaired drones and damaged hull sections. Medical teams moved efficiently through crowded corridors, helping the wounded. Security officers patrolled in rotating shifts. Every creature aboard, from human to alien, moved with purpose. And at the center of all attention stood Evan Hale. He walked slowly through the command hall, his suit partially open now. Though his hands still throbbed faintly from the previous battles, his posture was steady. Commander Scifi stayed close beside him, her eyes scanning the room constantly. Word had spread fast. The human had faced overwhelming danger, predicted enemy movements, and adapted the station's systems in ways no other species had attempted before. In the briefing room, representatives from multiple species gathered again. There was no hostility this time, but tension lingered in the air. Some had clearly come to witness the human who had challenged their assumptions. The same Alliance official who had questioned Evan earlier stepped forward. "Human," she said formally, "you have demonstrated abilities we did not expect. How did you do what you did?" Evan shrugged lightly. "I observed, I learned, I acted. That's all any of us can do when the alternative is failure." A murmur passed through the hall. The official raised a hand, silencing it. "You speak modestly, yet your actions changed the outcome of the attack. You risked your life repeatedly. Why?" "Because someone had to," Evan said simply. "Someone had to step forward. Someone had to act when hesitation could have cost lives. That's what humans do. Not always bravely, not always perfectly. But we keep moving. We survive, and we help others survive along the way." Scifi observed him quietly. There was no trace of arrogance in his tone, only determination. calm in the face of chaos. She had seen many warriors, many heroes in her lifetime, but few with this quiet, unyielding strength. The Alliance official looked unsettled, but not with anger. Your species is new to this theater of operations, yet your instincts are remarkable. Evan tilted his head. Instincts aren't enough. You need awareness, preparation, and adaptability. That's how humans survive environments they weren't meant for. And that's how you win battles that seem impossible. A younger representative spoke up. Do you believe they will attack again? Evan's gaze hardened. Yes, they will. And next time, they will be better prepared. That means we must be too. Waiting and hoping is a mistake. Action is the only answer. Sci-Fi nodded beside him. He is right, she said. We must train differently, plan differently, and we must trust each other. The room was silent. Finally, the official spoke again. Then the Alliance will review its protocols. You will advise us, human. Your presence here is no longer optional. Evan gave a small nod. I will help. But remember, humans don't command out of pride. We lead by example, by showing what is possible, even when it seems impossible. The representatives studied him, some skeptical, others intrigued. No one could deny the truth in his words. The Alliance had underestimated humans, and it had cost them. Later, as the hall emptied, Sci-Fi walked beside Evan down the long corridors of the station. The hum of machinery and the distant chatter of the crew were soothing after the recent chaos. You changed their minds, she said quietly. Your actions, your words, they made them listen. Evan shook his head. Not me. Just the way humans face danger. We survive where others think it impossible. That's why we're here now. You carry yourself with humility, yet command respect, Sci-Fi observed. I did not understand before. I thought your armor was arrogance. He smiled faintly. It's protection, not pride, but people see what they want to see. Armor can hide strength or fear.
I try to make sure it doesn't hide courage.
They paused near a viewport overlooking the vast expanse of space. Stars stretched endlessly, calm and cold. A fleet of Alliance ships patrolled nearby, and the station itself had been reinforced overnight. Repairs were ongoing, but the system was functional again. You've made a difference, Sci-Fi said. I have never seen a human act like this. Not because they had no choice, but because they chose to act anyway. Evan looked out at the stars. That's what humans do. We adapt. We survive. And sometimes, we change the way others see the universe while doing it. A faint smile appeared on Sci-Fi's face. Then the galaxy will never forget this human. I hope it remembers humans not as saviors or warriors, Evan said, but as beings who act when it matters most. That's what matters, not medals or titles, just action. A soft alarm sounded from the command station. A small fleet of incoming vessels had been detected. This time, friendly. Supply ships, reconnaissance ships, and reinforcements. The station's sensors showed the approaching fleet as a line of light against the blackness. They are arriving, Sci-Fi said. Reinforcements. Evans studied them carefully. Not just reinforcements. The Alliance is learning. Watching. Waiting. Preparing for what comes next. Sci-Fi's gaze softened slightly. And you? What will you do next, human? He turned toward her. I'll keep doing what I do best. Prepare, adapt, survive, and teach others to do the same. They both fell silent for a moment, listening to the hum of the station, the distant sounds of work, and the quiet calm of space. I once thought humans were fragile, Sci-Fi said. I judged you too quickly. Judgment is easy. Understanding takes time. But sometimes you don't have time to understand. You just have to act. She nodded slowly. then I will act differently in the future, not because I am afraid, but because I have seen what you can do." Evan looked at her, appreciating the quiet respect in her tone. "Then perhaps we have both learned something today." Outside the viewport, stars moved steadily, as if nothing had happened, yet everything had changed. The Alliance, the station, and even the galaxy had been reminded that humans were not to be underestimated. For the first time, Evan allowed himself a small moment of relief. He had survived. The station had survived. And the galaxy had learned that, when humans faced impossible odds, they did not falter. They adapted. They acted. They endured. Scifi placed a hand on his shoulder, a gesture of trust and camaraderie. "You have my respect, human," she said simply. "And you have mine," Evan replied. In the quiet of the station, amidst the hum of life and machinery, humans and aliens stood together. They were not just allies. They were a force, capable of facing the threats that would surely come, and somewhere beyond the stars, those who had attacked before would be forced to reconsider. Humans were not the same as they had assumed. They were adaptable. They were relentless, and when necessary, they could change the course of events in ways no one had predicted. The station would continue to repair. The fleet would continue to patrol, and humanity would continue to rise, quietly, firmly, and always prepared. Evan looked out at the stars one last time before returning to his duties. The galaxy had seen a glimpse of human strength, not in firepower, not in aggression, but in persistence, courage, and resolve. And that, he knew, was the beginning of something far greater than anyone could yet understand. The universe would remember this day, not for what was destroyed, or even for what was won, but for what humans could endure and achieve when they chose to act. For the first time in many cycles, the humans smiled, not with pride, but with quiet certainty. They were ready for whatever came next. The galaxy had learned a truth that would echo across stars and civilizations. Humans were survivors, problem solvers, and catalysts for change, and that was enough. Evan returned to the bridge, where Scifi and the crew were preparing reports and planning future defenses. Together, they would face the unknown. Together, they would endure. Together, they would survive. And humanity, once underestimated, would lead the way, not by dominance, but by determination. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, and the humans stepped forward, ready for whatever challenges lay beyond the horizon. The galaxy had never seen the last of him, and it never would.